companies doing all those fancy commercials and, being very formal and stuff like that. But maybe it works for the boomers, of course. But if they want to reach younger people, they're not going to make it with the tricks that they used in the past. Yeah. So they have to adapt, and they have to start listening to young people and what their needs are, what they find funny, what they want to reach in life. Because if they don't know that, they will also not know the way how to reach them.
We belong. We belong everywhere. Whatever you want to do, wherever you want to go, you belong.
Hello everyone, and welcome to this new episode of We Belong. Today I'm joined by Cecilia Vieira. Cecilia, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's such a pleasure to have you here today, and you are based in Luxembourg, but you have a very interesting background. So tell us more about who you are, where do you come from?
Hi, my name is Cecilia. I'm 24 years old. Thank you for having me here. So, about myself, I was born here in Luxembourg. My parents, they're Brazilian. And I always fight a bit with the questions if I'm more Brazilian or if I'm more Luxembourgish. But I think that I figured for myself that I'm more Luxembourgish because I never had this real big connection with Brazil, which is a pity because I wish to have more of that, but I just take what I get. So
definitely, and you grew up here, so I can understand that you relate, to Luxembourg more, but at the same time you speak different languages.
Yeah.
So which language do you speak at home?
I speak Portuguese with my parents, but my Portuguese is quite bad, I would say. Okay. And that's also a struggle that I have that really gets me because I can't express my feelings to my parents because I can't speak the language so perfectly like in English or in Luxembourgish. So it's quite a hard time, but I think that I just have to, learn it more to have a better communication with my parents.
Definitely. And, I think that when you come from, a different background, but you grew up in a country that is so multicultural, because Luxembourg it's a very multicultural country, you really have this questioning about who you really are and your identities, but then probably you found an harmony between those. Yeah. And I'm very curious to understand, we have, for every guest that we invite here, We Belong, we ask what's one word that best describes you or the work that you do. So what's the word for you?
Creative.
Okay, why?
Yeah, I would not describe myself as an artist because I'm not, but I'm more like a person who really likes to think out of the box, which is quite easy here in Luxembourg because everyone is in the Luxembourgish bubble, especially the Luxembourgish people. I'm not talking about the experts, but it's like a golden bubble and they don't want to leave it. And I'm always like, okay, what can I do to leave the bubble, to breach out of this box and to make Luxembourgish people see something new? And I think that's also which led to my podcast, Ceci, Do You Love Me? I started it in 2019. And yes, I would say that now it's already an established Luxembourgish podcast where I talk about getting Luxembourgish people out of the bubble.
All right, yeah. And we are gonna get right there in this topic because I think it's such a creative name to come up with. It's from a song, very well-known song. So, Ceci, Do You Love Me? Why?
So, for those who don't know Drake, it's a song from Drake, In My Feelings, and there's a sentence, Ceci, not Ceci, sorry, Kiki, do you love me? And when I was looking for a name, I was like, okay, I have to make it, I don't really know how I can describe everything that I'm doing in the podcast in one name. So I was like, okay, so I will concentrate it on myself because I am the one who's moderating it, who is producing it. So the strategic part of it was more that people will sing it which also happened because people, they come to me and then they're like, Ceci, do you love me? And I think it's like a thing that stays in the head. So it was more a strategic thing to do. But it's very fun. And sometimes I'm scared that people think that I'm very arrogant because I'm using my name on everything. But it's more like I have a very special name in Luxembourg. So I'm using this as an advantage.
And as a brand.
As a brand. Yeah.
Because, and that's where creativity comes, and also your marketing side. I know that marketing is something very important to your, professional background, but also it helps you being remembered. As you say, people remember a song, they associate this song with your name, and then, that's how also you can grow the podcast and the topics that you can cover. So I know that you have a special focus on Gen Z. Can you tell us some of the meaningful discussions that you had? What did you notice specifically about the Gen Z? So
I studied marketing in Berlin, and in the studies we talked a lot about generations and how they act, because every generation has a different kind of how they speak, how they buy, how they act, and also what their goals are. So you have the baby boomers, these are our parents and older. You have silver surfers, these are our grandparents, and then you have Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, betas. These are the youngest one. So I focused on Gen Z because I'm like, I'm a zillennial. It's between Gen Z and millennial. But I feel that the goals that Gen Z have are being a lot misunderstood by older generations. And I think that's unfair. And I think that we should fight more for them. Because their goal is not to, get a job and work till they can buy something. No, their goal is to get a job and do it with their whole heart and whole passion. Because they're like, basically I will never be able to buy something. What am I even working for? And that's super beautiful.
It's, we live in a different socio-economic context. We want to find more purpose, probably, right? I mean, I say I'm probably not a Gen Z. I'm more, consider myself like older than the Gen Z. But I can understand this way of thinking because of the context that we grew up in. And I'm curious to know, what are the cliches that, for example, boomers can have on Gen Z?
So the biggest cliche of the Gen Z is that boomers always say that they don't want to work. So the thing is, it's not that they don't want to work, it's just that they don't want to live the life that boomers had or even millennials are having. Because you can see that depression is a big thing, overworking is a big thing, mental health is so important, and it's like the first generation who really cares about their mental health. Like they are trying to do therapy. They're talking about it. There are so many advocates on social media talking about how to live, how to be mental stable, because that's something that was a big taboo with our parents. There are so many people taking their lives and just because of depression and because they don't talk about feelings, especially for men, because, for them, talking about feelings is considered not masculine enough. Yes.
And, you actually touch a very important and crucial topic, which is mental health and well-being, and finding a good balance between, what you want to achieve professionally, but also in your personal life. And I think that Gen Z, compared to the previous generations, have also access to an important platform and tool to vehiculate their message or their thoughts or their feelings, which is social media. And you told a bit about social media, but it can work for us or against us. There is different dynamics in social media, but still it's a powerful tool to share your experience where people can relate, and then you feel less alone, or in the contrary can also have, you know, negative impact.
Yeah, so we all know that social media has two sides. So it can, first of all, if you have the algorithm that leads you to a certain bubble, so everything that you see, it's not that the person next to you will see the same. So you're in your specific bubble, which can be a good thing, or it can also be a bad thing, because you see what you want to see. And if these things are kind of toxic, then you will think that everyone thinks like this, because you think that everyone sees the same, but it's actually not. So yes, this is on the one hand, but on the other hand, you can also use it to, you know, stand forward, talk to people, reach a community, reach people, and spread your messages, which can be positive but also negative. So yes, social media is very dangerous, but it has also a very strong power to move other people and to help other people.
And also, you know, there is one of the cliches that comes to my mind when thinking about Gen Z is the fact that a lot of younger generation, they find a way to create a career on social media. And a boomer that sees this, maybe they don't even consider this as a real job, or, you know, and then how do you explain, you know, that actually,
yes.
But, you know, it can be a career, but at the same time, some of the content might be lighter, might be, you know, more fun, dancing, or, you know, making jokes, or, for example, we can name Kavi Lame that became ultra famous around the world just without saying a word.
Yeah, influencer is a job, and when they're boomer coming and telling that this is not a job, like they just not realizing that we're having a digital revolution, that everything is being held on social media, and that these jobs are real. So that's also a thing that I've seen a lot in my work. So I've been workplaces. I've been working in big companies, in small companies, in startups, but also for elder people and younger people. So I've seen everything, like not everything, but a lot. And explaining your boss, who is, I don't know, let's say 40 years old, what's the strategy for TikTok is like the hardest thing to do ever, because you're like, what? You're like, no, this is going to work. Just trust me. And there comes the issue. They have to trust, even if they don't understand it, or even if they don't want to understand it, they need to trust the process. Because if there's someone who is getting, you know, if someone's paying you to do it, then the person is ready and to know to do it right, and to see how they're going to do this, especially on TikTok. So people just have to trust them on that one. Yeah.
And I get your point in the sense that it's a tool more used by, you know, Gen Z, and it has dynamics that need to be maybe translated to them through consultants like you. I know that you work as a freelance, as you said, for different companies, smaller, younger, older, more established. What's one experience in your professional career that really, you know, was meaningful for you, where you really felt that you had an impact? I know that you also recently worked on new projects. So what's one specific that you were proud about?
I think the most proudest thing that I've ever done was to start the podcast that I'm doing, because it led me to a lot of new people. You know, I've met people, I've spoke to them, I learned a lot, and I also learned a lot about myself and also how I learn. So it's more like I learned how to, you know, record videos, how to cut videos, how to do social media and all this stuff. And this was everything that I've done myself. So I'm very proud of it. Yeah. And it also led me to a lot of jobs. For instance, I have worked for like 7 months for the Prime Minister in Luxembourg, or other cultural stuff that I could do. And yes, that makes me very proud. Actually. Yeah.
And it's really using the marketing, a strategy through your brand to actually reach new opportunities. You mentioned you working for the Prime Minister, which is amazing because at the same time it means that, you know, people high up, they realize the need to communicate to Gen Z, and your way of doing it convinced them, and so they got you on board.
Yes, and that's the thing. Like, I think that they're realizing that authenticity is what the companies and people need, you know, because we have seen companies doing all those fancy commercials and, you know, being very formal and stuff like that. But if they want to reach, maybe it works for the boomers, of course, but if they want to reach younger people, they're not going to make it with the tricks that they used in the past. Yeah. So they have to adapt, and they have to start listening to young people and what their needs are, what they find funny, what they want to reach in life. Because if they don't know that, they will also not know the way how to reach them.
Agreed. Totally agreed. And maybe one last question for you as we come to the end is, if you have one key advice to anyone who wants to launch their podcast or a project, or, you know, put themselves in front of a camera, it's, you know, actually a big step to take. But then, you know, maybe once you start, it becomes easier. So what's your advice for them?
So write a plan. Write a plan. Answer all the double V questions. So what, why, when, how, and all those questions. Have it in front of you and really work on it, because a lot of people come to me and like, oh, I want to start a podcast. How do I do that? It's not like just recording something and then telling some, because there are 100, like thousands of podcasts in everywhere, especially if you want to do it in English. So for me, the most important thing or challenge that I had was to find a niche, because you cannot do content for the whole world. That should not be your goal. You have to find your niche, and then you have to know about your niche. What do they want to see? How do they act? Why would they listen to you? So if you have answered all those questions and you think that everything looks good and you think that this is going to work, then go for it.
Yes. And often it's really like taking the first step that is most scary. Yeah. Once you're there, then, you know, you improve with the time.
Yes,
right?
Of course. And also ask for help. Ask for help. On TikTok, there are so many. TikTok is a very good search engine. So if you put how to start a podcast, just scroll a bit down. Yes, hear how other people did it. That's how I do it. Meanwhile, and I think that's it for it. Like, to have a plan, choose your niche, and just do it.
Yeah, just do it. Well, thank you so much for having been with us.
Thank you.
For everyone who listened to us, please go and check Ceci, Do You Love Me?
Yes, it's in Luxembourgish. So if you want to learn Luxembourgish, let's go.
It's in Luxembourgish, that's true. But well, thank you so much for all the work that you do, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
This was the end of our episode. If you liked it, please share it, and you can find us on all platforms and social media. Bye!